Wednesday, January 27th, 2021, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Today we're going to look at the origin and history of the dollar, the American dollar, of course. Before I do that, let's quickly look at where the markets are this morning. It's 8:45 a.m. We've got spot gold 1846. That's down about $4.50. Range has been 1853 to 1843. Silver is down 16 cents. 25.30. Range has been 25.22 to 25.51. The Dow future is down 77. S&P is down 4. Nasdaq is up. Not surprisingly, as usual, up 57, Nasdaq 100 future. The currencies, we've got sterling down slightly at 137.31. The euro is down 0.1% at 121.47. The dollar is up slightly versus the Japanese yen at 103.71. And the dollar is up slightly as well versus the yuan at 647.75. Copper is down about 0.2%. WTI crude is up 0.75% at almost $53. The 10-year yield is at 104. So that's it. 104. That's unchanged from yesterday. Today, before I go on to the origin of the dollar, we've got the Fed meeting, the second day of the meeting. There's not going to be a press conference at this meeting, nor projections, but we'll have to see what they announce. So going through the origins of the dollar, I'm going to use the United States Coins, a guidebook of United States coins, the official red book here. I've got the 2020 edition. There is a 2021 edition, but it's not on hardback yet. I highly recommend this book. I think I paid £13 for it on Amazon. You can look elsewhere. I'm sure probably in the US it will be cheaper. I'm here in the UK, of course. But going through the origins of the dollar here through this book is going to make you realize how when we talk about markets, when you talk about the dollar, it's not really a dollar. It will help you really understand what's going on. It will help you why all the currency that's been created by the Federal Reserve and the government will be affected in terms of its ratio to gold and silver. And it will help people understand why gold and silver are so important. Just going through the history here, through a few pages of this book. I've had the 2006 for a while, but I never really went through the beginning here. I usually just looked at the coins because it's got all kinds of, how can I say, information about all kinds of coins from the United States, the rating of the coins, how much they go for, how rare they are. So you can see here all kinds of coins. But I found a good page in the beginning here, and we're going to go through it. Before I do that, just say a couple of things. First, the World Economic Forum, we know they're the globalists. They're trying to change things. They're pushing this great reset agenda. I recommend, because they've had their Davos meeting starting virtually recently. Go to their YouTube channel. It's World Economic Forum YouTube channel, and have a look at all their latest videos in the last few days. Go on to each of them. You don't have to listen to them, but make sure you thumb them down, because you see the thumbs down. The ratio is massive, thumbs down versus thumbs up. I don't think people are buying into it. So I recommend you do that. Take a little bit of time, go to their YouTube channel and thumb down as many videos as you can, just to make them aware that we're not buying their agenda. Oh, the other thing I like to say about the dollar. I designed a new t-shirt, sweatshirts, long sleeve shirts, and it's called Dollar versus Shin Plaster. So what's the expression shin plaster got to do with? Well, Wikipedia says here the term shin plaster came into use during the American Revolutionary War. Shin plaster was a piece of paper soldiers put in front of their boots to cushion their shins against chafing and rash. Common low denomination notes perceived as almost worthless compared to hard currency such as gold and silver came to be known by this term, shin plaster. So you can see here I designed this t-shirt. $1, we've got a silver dollar there, and then below we've got one Federal Reserve note that calls itself dollar. That's the shin plaster. And in the back of the t-shirt and the other long sleeve shirts and the sweatshirts, I've got another dollar here, and I've got the original weight of a silver dollar or a dollar, 371 and 4/16 grains of pure silver. So you might find that interesting. Maybe when you're wearing that, people will see that and they'll realize, wow, that is a dollar. Because you ask a lot of people what a dollar is, they don't know. So let's start then with the origins of the American dollar. And I say American dollar, of course, because there are other dollars out there. Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, and so on. So let's go to page 11, an introduction to United States coins, the Spanish milled dollar. So the Spanish milled dollar, valued at 8 reals and otherwise known as the pillar dollar or piece of 8, has been given a place in romantic fiction unequaled by any other coin. You have the pirates and the pieces of 8, right? This time-honored piece and its fractional parts, 1/2, 1, 2, and 4 reals, were the principal coins of the American colonists and were the forerunners of our own silver dollar and its fractional divisions. Thomas Jefferson even recommended to the Continental Congress on September 2nd, 1776, that the new country adapt the silver Spanish milled dollar as its monetary unit of value. The coin shown above bears the M mint mark from Mexico City. Similar pieces with other mint marks were struck in Bolivia, Chile, Colombia, Guatemala, and Peru. Average value for an 8 reals pillar dollar of common date and mint is about $200. Well, those are Federal Reserve notes in fine condition. Dates range from 1732 to 1772. Bust type 8 real dollars made from 1772 to 1825 also circulated widely. These are valued at 100 Federal Reserve notes or dollars, fiat dollars if you want to call them, in very fine condition. And it says, note that many modern copies of the 8 reals exist. These are produced mostly as souvenirs and have little or no value. So this is an interesting part here. Money of the early Americans. So the saga of American money covers a period of nearly 4 centuries, from 1620 to the present. It began when the early European settlers in New England started trading with Native Americans for furs and commodities that could be exported to Britain. The furs, tobacco, and lumber exports were used to purchase needed items that could not be produced locally. Trade was carried on with the Indians through the use of barter and strings of wampum, which were fashioned from clamshells in the form of beads. Beaver skins, wampum, and in Virginia, tobacco soon became the commonly accepted local media of exchange for all other available commodities that were not bartered. The immigrants, in fact, had little use for coined money at first, but when merchandise arrived from Europe, coins were usually demanded in payment for goods. I'll stop here a second. I've heard a story from my brother-in-law's mother in Switzerland during World War II in Switzerland, where she was from and where my sister and my brother-in-law still live. It's a small village. They used to use cheese as money. Everyone wanted cheese, so cheese acted as a media or a medium of exchange. Okay, let's continue. This is really interesting here because it shows how money and exchange is really something that happens in the market. It's not government that imposes it. So it says nearly all foreign coins were accepted for purchases. The most popular were French louis, English guineas, German thalers, Dutch ducats, and various Spanish coins, including gold doubloons, and particularly the Spanish milled dollar or piece of 8. The piece of 8 continued to be a standard money unit throughout the entire colonial period. Even after the Revolutionary War ended in 1783 and the United States Mint was established in 1792, the Spanish dollar and its fractional parts circulated in this country with official sanction until 1857. So I thought that was quite interesting that the Spanish milled dollar circulated in the United States until 1857 and its fractions. This is also quite interesting here. It says 1 real equaled 12.5 cents, and it was known as a bit. So 1 real, 1 piece of 8, so it's 1/8, it's 12.5 cents, and it was known as a bit. A quarter of the dollar thus became known as 2 bits, a term that is still understood to mean 25 cents. I wonder where Mr. Nakamoto got his name for Bitcoin from. Because of the shortage of small change, large coins were sometimes cut into smaller pieces for convenience. Spanish American milled dollars were often chopped into halves, quarters, or eighths. Fraudulent cutting into 5 or 6 quarters caused many to distrust these cut pieces. England consistently ignored the plight of its American colonists. Not surprising there. It's happening now as well. England is ignoring the plight of the public here in the UK, right? Nothing ever changes. And made no effort to provide gold and silver coins or small change in any form for their convenience. The English mercantile system relied on exports from the colonies and sought to control trade by limiting the amount of hard money paid to them. Under these constraints, the colonists were able to trade for most necessities only with England and were left with very little coinage for trade with other countries. The foreign coins that were sometimes available were a valuable commodity, you see, a valuable commodity for purchases outside the normal English trade. So it came back to bite the English, I guess, eventually, because you had the American Revolutionary War. So let's keep going. As a remedy for the dearth of circulating coinage, a wide assortment of foreign coins and tokens were pressed into use. Only a very few were made in America prior to 1783. Copper coins, known as Hogue money, were privately made for the Summer Islands, known now as Bermuda. About the year 1616, the first coins minted for the colonies in America were made by John Hall in Boston for the Massachusetts Bay Colony. The General Court of the colony granted him authority to begin coinage despite the possibility of objection and recrimination by the King of England. Starting in 1652, the Massachusetts minter began producing the famous New England willow, oak, and pine tree shillings and their fractional parts for convenience of the colonists. This venture, which defied English law and lasted from 1652 to 1682, was in a sense the first declaration of independence for the colonies. And time passed, coins and tokens of many types were introduced and employed by the colonists to supplement their use of barter. Lord Baltimore was responsible for a small issue of silver pieces struck in England in 1659 and sent to Maryland for use there. Mark Newby imported from Ireland coins known as St. Patrick's halfpence for use in the province of New Jersey in 1682. Coins dated 1722 to 24, known as Rosa Americana issues, were produced by William Wood in England and were widely circulated in America. In addition, many British and other European coppers circulated there. Enterprising Americans were responsible for some of the other copper and brass pieces that circulated during the 18th century. The Gloucester token, about which little is known, was one of these. Samuel and John Higley of Granby, Connecticut, made an interesting series of threepence pieces during the period from 1737 to 1739. John Chalmers, a silversmith in Annapolis, Maryland, issued silver shillings, sixpence, and threepence pieces in 1783. In 1786 and 87, Ephraim Brasher, a New York goldsmith, struck gold coins of the value of a doubloon, about $15 in New York currency. Standish Barry of Baltimore, Maryland, made a curious silver threepence token in 1790. Still other tokens struck in Britain reached our shores in early times and were for the most part speculative ventures. These much needed small denomination coppers were readily circulated because of the great scarcity of fractional coins. Included in this category were during the period of turmoil following America's War of Independence from about 1781 to 1795, still more English and American-made copper pieces were added to the great variety of coins and tokens employed in the new nation. It was a time when Americans were suffering from post-war economic depression, a shortage of currency, high taxes, and foreclosures from bankruptcies. In the 1780s, the Nova Ebora pieces known as New York coppers, the George's Triumpho coppers, and Auctori Plebe tokens found their way into circulation as small change despite their unofficial nature. Collectors of colonial coins also include other pieces that are interesting because of the close association with America and its first president. These consist of the Kentucky, Middleton, and Franklin press tokens and those pieces bearing the portrait of George Washington. Although most of these pieces are dated 1783 to 95, many of them were made in England around the turn of the 19th century. Few of them actually circulated in the US. So I'm going to stop right here. It's not over. We still have to go through the coinage of the states. We're going to look at the beginnings of United States coinage. We're going to look at the Coinage Act of 1792 and how it defined the dollar in terms of silver, not only silver, but also gold and all the different coins that the mint was supposed to issue. So we'll do that tomorrow in part 2. Don't want to keep this video going for too long, but anyway, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button. Please share it far and wide. Think about subscribing to my channel if you haven't yet, and you can also follow me on other platforms like Facebook, Hive, BitChute, DTube, and Library. I wish you all a great day. Take care. Bye.